Did you have a plumbing or HVAC background?
No, but I've been in trades management pretty much my entire career. So
Okay.
before this, I did elevators of all things.
I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you looked at that. So you bought a little bit below what would be the classic, but it sounds like, you guys have grown pretty well. You're at 22 people. Do you share your revenue number publicly or no?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. We should be just a touch under 6 million this year.
God bless America.
Sipping on success, feet up in the air. Why work harder when you can play it smart? Well, that's the lazy leverage way to steal their heart.
Welcome back to another episode of Lazy Leverage, the internet's #1 small business operations podcast, downloaded over 4 billion times in the last 48 hours. I'm joined here by JD Beck, who is the owner of Mountain Valley Plumbing and HVAC. How are you today, JD?
Man, I'm doing great, John. How are you?
Good. You gave the most honest take before hitting record on a podcast, it means I'm in the right kind of conversation, which is, hey man, I might get a call from a tech at a job site. So
Yeah.
It's like, yep, that checks out. You're not in a WeWork in San Francisco. Check.
No,
Right?
yeah.
Like,
No, yeah, you can see my background. This is
whatever the opposite of that is. Yeah. What is the opposite side of the world from that? Which is awesome. So you just, if I'm looking, we pulled up your bio a little bit. So you bought at about $1 million in revenue 3 years ago. Is that right?
4. It was
4?
June of 22. Yeah.
June of 22, you bought about $1 million top line, 350 SDE, I'm guessing?
No.
No?
Trailing 3 years SDE was around 130, and the last year was probably 65, 70.
Did you have a plumbing or HVAC background?
No, but I've been in trades management pretty much my entire career. So before this, I did elevators of all things.
I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you looked at that. So you bought a little bit below what would be the classic, but it sounds like, you guys have grown pretty well. You're at 22 people. Do you share your revenue number publicly or no?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. We should be just a touch under 6 million this year.
Dude, God bless America.
Yeah, right?
I love that, man. And, you have most of your hair. So,
yes, I do.
You certainly look mildly worse for the wear, not horribly worse for the wear, which is, I'll take it, right?
Yeah, I'll take it. It's been fun. Yeah.
Fine at that size. That's awesome. And so you guys, how many trucks you guys running?
Oh, I'd have to count. Somewhere around 10 to 12. Depending how you define service technicians. So about 10 true service technicians, a couple sales rep, a couple leads. So about 14 total guys that turn wrenches and solder pipe and stuff.
So I have got only like 4 or 5 good subject matter questions associated with plumbing and HVAC because we work with a ton of them. But my first question is, do you split your repair techs from your sales guys, or do you put everything on the truck and let them? Okay, so you did.
Yeah.
I love that. I know people complain. I'm like, it's just a better way to do it.
I've kind of gone back and forth on it. We're actually currently debating maybe changing it. But right now, the way it works is we'll send a service technician out, especially on the HVAC side. Service technician goes out, and the service technician will do, service work. But if it's, a super old piece of equipment and it makes a lot of sense to change it out, then we will flip that to a salesman.
Interesting. Okay. Super interesting.
And plumbing, we don't really do that, which oddly enough, plumbing, we don't. Plumbing, it's, if it's a drain call, we do have a dedicated drain salesman, but he also does plumbing work as well. But outside of that, my plumbers do everything from tankless water heaters down to shower cartridges.
Same visit?
Yes.
Okay. So they'll will they look at the call and say, all right, I probably should bring this and load the truck, and then they'll go run the call? Or are they doing like part shop runs, or how's that work?
No. So in my opinion, if a service tech goes to a supply house, you've made a mistake. It's just not a good use of their time.
Agree.
We try to avoid it. It does happen though, right? But it's becoming rarer and rarer. So case in point, actually just before this, one of my plumbers went out, sold a sump pump, but the sump pump's on the van, it's ready to go, and I think he's already finished it. Revenue's in the bag.
So he looks at the nature of the call and he's just like, I'm going to throw a sump pump in here because chances are I might need to replace it.
No, they don't really see their calls beforehand. We let them see one extra call. So we tell them, hey man, you're at work from 7:30 to 5 or whatever it's going to be. Be prepared for anything. So the vans do roll with a pretty standard set of stock. We don't put water heaters on them. That's just not cost effective.
Too big.
But pretty much everything below a water heater goes on that van.
Do you have to worry about locking up working capital sitting on the truck as like bought but uninstalled parts, or is it insubstantial essentially?
It's not great,
Okay.
but it does exist. We rolled about $5,000 of inventory in every van.
Okay, so that's not
And
horrible.
That's
I mean, it's not
yeah.
horrible.
I mean,
Yeah.
some of the bigger guys will do 10 to 15 on revenue, or 10 to 15 on like your inventory on those vans. We're a little smaller, but still, yeah, we do push
Okay.
about $5,000, and it's not that bad. We have good vendor terms. We turn it over almost weekly. It feels like maybe every 2 weeks. It's not that
good. Yeah, so it's not like a big cash flow drag or anything like that. $5,000 on a truck's not gonna make you miss payroll. Yeah. Okay. Super interesting. So I mean, you're a second customer, but like I think constantly about like organizational design, which is why I want to ask those questions because as you think about designing your back office or designing your front of house or how you do warehouse ops or all that stuff, I really spend a lot of time, particularly in home and professional services, thinking about structuring personnel and technology and inventory to be most effective given you're running a $5 million company and it's not like, oh, I have some backup techs. You're like, bro, you're on the tools or you're not working today, right? So
we try to keep it as lean as possible. Painfully lean, in fact. Yeah, especially in the field.
You have to. I mean, you have to. We have, we've been spinning up this engineering team. We've got now actually a pretty big team now. But I told them, I was like, guys, we are not a venture-backed company. We do not run out ahead of revenue. We manage, like we're not like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we can run 4 parallel developer tracks. And I'm like, let's just talk through it a little bit. And I think that's just a factor of you. And I have not as much as you, but just kind of managing the cash flow is just survival in small business. Right.
It is. Yeah.
Now I suspect that is probably what brought you towards a global workforce as well, which is just kind of like, yo, I need more CSRs or ops managers and I'm at this size, but I really need to start answering my phone after 4 p.m. or whatever it is. Like, is that what brought you to it? Or did you have a different path to kind of a global workforce complementing your local guys?
What brought me to this? I would say we kind of reached a point. So there's kind of a value gap, I think, especially in the CSR role. People not outside the industry, customer service representatives, person that answers the phone, right? So that job, locally we were paying $20-$25 an hour, which is pretty standard, maybe with a small bonus on top of that.
Plus benefits, I'm guessing.
Yeah, plus benefits, taxes, and one of my things, I try to have a very good benefits package. And so these, these are starting to become very expensive people. But no, honestly, we live in Colorado. Colorado is not quite California's level of cost of living, but it's not far behind.
Yeah.
And $25 an hour just doesn't go very far here. And so it's kind of like the nature of the economy. You start paying people $20-$25 an hour, you're not really getting, some outstanding employees. And so we did is start experimenting with some offshore people. We had our first push with that probably in 23. I just hired somebody off Upwork, right?
Yeah.
And
so I spent $1 million on Upwork, but back in the day,
right.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah.
Didn't do a good job recruiting. Didn't do a good job selecting. Great employee. She did great, but wasn't top tier, right? And we figured, hey, let's give this Sagan thing a shot, right? Like in all honesty, the cost something we could kind of take a chance on and just see what happened. And I was sitting there talking with my dispatch CSR manager, and I said, hey man, it's really not that expensive. It's worth a shot. Let's see if we can do this, because if we can, one, we can get better people for less money. Yep. And that really has kind of materialized, especially on the CSR side.
Nice. Yeah, and that stick around. That's the other thing too.
They do.
Because the other thing when I was at the bottom of the kind of labor pool in Southern California was if I could get somebody sober.
Yeah.
That was the first thing.
Yeah.
Who was punctual, who didn't do anything painfully bad, they would jump. So I'd spend all this time and they'd give me 4 good months. And I'm like, how can I compound? I can't keep you.
You can't.
So I either have to pay $32. I'm like, I can't pay. I can't keep raising my prices, right? And so eventually what I had to say, which it sounds like you've done, which is I needed like a fresh approach. I'm like, I cannot keep doing the same thing. I have to, I don't know what the answer is, but I cannot keep just saying like, maybe my next $24 an hour person will stick around. Like the third time I found mini liquor bottles, I was just like, I gotta go at this a different way. Because I would literally be like, guys, you can drink in the car, but when you walk in the warehouse, you can't drink or I have to fire you. Literally, I got to that point. I was like,
oh my God,
just
that's
throw some
awful.
gum in and drink in the car. I have to fire you though if I find booze in the office. And that was kind of what pushed me. And it was just a matter of, I wanted to build the company that I pictured in my head, not the one I was kind of like resigned to.
It's funny you mentioned that. We had a CSR early on. She wound up moving away, but I was like, hey, if you want to keep working remotely, that's fine. And yeah, same problem, drinking on the job. Yeah.
It's the trades, man.
It was a real problem, man.
It was I drove people to AA because I had a great one. I drove her to AA. She was living with her dad. And I was like, is your dad the issue? I'll pay for your apartment. Because I was so, $1,500 a month as a subsidy to get her out of a scenario,
Yeah.
Do you need to get, is your tech calling you?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope, we're good.
Cool.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure.
Yeah. I'll tell you, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you guys are at about 22 folks. I know you've done a bunch of hiring with us, which is awesome. As you look out at the future, did you listen? You said you hadn't listened to it. I definitely would suggest, if you haven't, to dig up the podcast I did with Isaac Zimmerman. Do you know Isaac?
I know Isaac. Yeah. He kind of showed up on the scene here recently. He has, dozens of offshore employees. And one of the cool things I like about him is that he's grown organically. Now it's a lot of acquisition.
Yeah,
which is kind of getting to be rare in this industry.
So Isaac, Sagan member, I think we've done 60 or 70 hires for him. And Rich Jordan, I don't know if you know Rich too, but
I know Rich very well as well.
Yeah, Rich and I talk all the time. Rich is my buddy. But like there's a couple, and what Isaac did really well, and I mean he's had a meteoric.
Yes, yeah.
What he did really well, as you're thinking about like the next steps, I'd be interested in how you're thinking about the next chapters of the company, which was he basically tried to create the smallest jobs possible because he wanted to do it to increase kind of speed of cash through his organization. So he's like, look, right now my overworked front desk person takes about 5 days to pull a dig permit. Takes about 5 days because she's got other stuff. She's got to do the crew. It's like, I'm going to hire somebody abroad for $1,700 a month and they're my permit coordinator. Why? Because now it takes me 1 day to pull a dig permit and I can now I can spend more on marketing because I only have to float the marketing expense for 3 days, not 10 days. And because my return on invested capital is faster, which means I can plow more into marketing, which means I have more leads, which means I can hire more techs. And so what he's done really well with us is he's found these kind of like places that have slowed down the speed of work through his business. And he stuck somebody on top of him and be like, your only job is sending and it's a really clever way to use kind of low cost, high quality folks, which is like, you're my permit coordinator and you just need to get to know the permitting people in the cities that we operate in. Like and he talks about it on the podcast about how he does it.
Yeah, I would say we're in a similar spot, right? So if you look at the guys that are like really big, right? Like your any hours, or like your $100 million a year companies, they're able to hire one person to do one thing at a time. And like people can really specialize. Whenever you're, $5 million and you're hiring all onshore people, everybody has to wear all these different hats. And that's one of the beauties of hiring offshore is, hey, maybe you're only working at 60% capacity, but given the cost, you're able to really specialize. And that specialization adds a lot, man. Like people just start doing their jobs better. I hadn't really thought about it from like a speed perspective, but just doing their jobs better is it really kind of changes things.
It's an accountability too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, bro, we're slow on permits. It's not Bob, the overworked front desk dude, who's like, sorry, man, I was sending the truck out to the repair. You're like, wake up, accelerate our permits, go home. Wake up.
That's that's a real beauty of these offshore people as well, is that like, you have to really level up your management skills, right? There is no, hey, I walk in and like, oh, the front desk girl, she's a great person. And, it's like, hey, did you do your job or not? Did you do it on time? Do it correctly?
It's outputs.
It becomes it's all the E-myth, it's, hey, you're judging people on their outputs. Like, hey, you can't really you do build a little bit of a relationship with these people, obviously. But at the end of the day, man, there's 2,000 miles between you and them, and you don't really think about it like that. You think, did you do your job or not?
Correct.
And it forces you to think like that. It really does.
And you can't do things, I tell this story often, but like you can't do things like lean back in your chair and have your CSR say, hey, JD, do we cover Colorado Springs?
Yep.
You need to have a document that has the zip codes you cover. But that is eMyth stuff, which is we have a standardized coverage area. It's not, yo, JD, do we do drain cleanouts for move-ins, right? And so it forces you as a manager to be, it creates better managers in a lot of ways, right?
It does.
In my opinion.
It does. Yeah.
And a more scalable business and all that stuff. It's kind of like a forcing function, you know?
Yes.
The thing and I've written about this a lot and talked about it a lot. I write about it obsessively. But when I talk about speed stuff, it's a couple guys, if you ever read anything about theory of constraints, but this guy, Justin Roth-Marsh, who I'm a big fan of, what he basically says is the number you need to be optimizing for in your company is speed of throughput through your system, which is basically leads to free cash flow. And what you need to do as a manager is say, I don't care about full utilization, because sometimes you need to have standby capacity so that when that F1 crew comes in or a firefighter gets a phone call, they're not like, sorry, I'm doing police work. When that fire gets called in, they're sitting around waiting for that fire to get called in. And what he says from an organizational design standpoint is your job as a business owner is not to minimize costs. It's to maximize throughput of free cash flow. And sometimes that means I have a guy who sits around and waits until one of my plumbers needs a part from the part house. And you're right, he's not fully utilized, but because he can go run to the part house quickly, I was able to close the job, which saved me money. He's like a firefighter. And so it's about speed of and velocity of work through your system, not how do I get every dime out of every single person every single moment? Because it's like, yo, firefighters, can you also do landscaping? And then when the fire happens, sorry, we're on a landscaping call. And so when I talk about speed, it's this guy's thinking that's really, it's velocity of like cash flow generation, which is very different than like maximize capacity of every single person in every single seat. They're different things. You know, it's like a assembly line almost, you know? So if you like that kind of stuff, I've done a bunch of podcasts about it, and it's just a cool way to think about organizational design.
No, and it's a different way to think about it too. So, I mean, like I had almost a decade in corporate America and in more of the construction space too, right? And so that is a very different way to run a business, because we had a 18-month backlog worth of work, right? And so, hey, you show up, there's always something productive to do. Whereas now in this business, you're out there looking for every single day. You're trying to find that next job. It takes a little bit of a paradigm shift. That's a good way to think about it.
It does. Yeah. And the other big thing that he says too, and for you, I'm assuming from a fulfillment perspective, it's your skilled technicians. What he says is, in a complex system, you can only optimize one resource. And the resource you should optimize in your business is the resource that, when maximally utilized, generates the most contribution margin. In your business, it's really straightforward, which is it's your skilled technicians. It's not your CSRs. It's not your apprentices. It's not your... And so if you start thinking about organizing your business to get the most contribution margin out of your 10 techs or 15 techs or whatever it is, you'll also start thinking about your business differently, which is, you're right. They could pack their own truck, but that means one less call per day. So I'm going to get a junior guy who packs the truck and then they just check it and they drive off within 10 minutes instead of drinking coffee and chatting for an hour in the morning, because they're my maximum. They're the machine that I want running 24/7 or whatever it is. And so that's the other thing he talks about that really helps me think about organizational design is, what resource do I want to get the most out of? And everything else just supports that resource. Because when you're out running calls, I make more money. And when you're doing anything else, I don't really care if my CSR is fully utilized. I care if my freaking revenue generating plumber is fully utilized, right?
Yeah, no, it's true.
And Global Town allows for a lot of that. Isaac's done a really good job of that too, which is a fun way to think about it as you guys continue to grow, you know? So as you look out in the future, what's kind of on your mind? You thinking inorganic growth, organic growth, new product lines? trenchless somethings. I don't know. I don't know these words. Trenchless.
You know, it's funny. We just did our first trenchless job and it was a disaster.
Oh, really?
It was bad. I don't know that we're going to do one again. Yeah. I feel kind of bad about it. But no, like my push right now is to do the same thing expertly is kind of where we're at, right? So we might add electrical, maybe not at some point. My goal is to maximize EBITDA for the next 24 months. You know, put as much profit to the bottom line as humanly possible, make this business look as good as possible. And then see what goes from there. I think that's organic growth. There are no more acquisitions in the next 24 months for us.
Not well priced.
Not well priced. Yeah. You know, and then kind of see where the world is in about 24 months, right? Like maybe there is a business worth buying at that point or not, but I'm really focused on trying to get the most out of the marketing dollars right now and try to grow organically, right? Like you brought up Isaac, he's a great example, right? I mean, the guy goes from $5 to $30 million in a few years, and it was all organic growth. Like that's a machine that you can put money and effort into and grow your business.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's also such a frothy market from acquisitions that, and I'm sure you're probably flirting with it, I'm guessing. But once you've cracked that like 1.5 EBITDA, 1.5 million, all of a sudden you just get a step function increase because you're not going to do some earn out where they make you work. They're just like, nope, we'll just buy it. Like the acquisition
that's
market.
That's the number I think about every night, man.
1.5 is
1.5. That's the number.
But you need to show that you can hold it for a year, right? Like, but you're knocking on the door of going from like, 4 to 6 times to like,
it gets very different. Very different. Yeah.
Because you're now a good target for lower middle market instead of just kind of like the Main Street, upper Main Street types, you know?
Yeah.
So that's super interesting. So how are you thinking about customer acquisition and marketing?
That's all I think about. I haven't got it figured out yet. I don't know. Like we did, I did a big push into pay-per-click last year with an agency that will not be named. Okay. And it was an awful experience. I burned a lot of, there was some measurement stuff that wasn't going right, which actually my next hire through Sagan is literally a marketing coordinator who like 80% of their job is to make sure that all of our data that like is around marketing is correct, right?
Yeah.
So listen to every phone call, make sure every lead is correctly categorized, that sort of thing. And I think once we have it measured, we'll have the right answer. We actually had a weird, like very quick success with pay-per-click. I just turned on pay-per-click again, took like a 6-month hiatus with it. And we just turned it on with a different agency literally like a week ago and sold a job yesterday with it. So I don't know, maybe that works, but I think the big push is finding ways to market this business organically. Actually, considering doing a podcast, I was going to talk to you offline about that, how this is going for you.
We can talk about it online if you want. I mean, either one.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, it seems like there's a couple of guys that do podcasts in this space that are focused on the customers. Like the Any Hour Group does one, and a few others, or they might mostly be on TikTok, but there's not much out there with this. And I think that there's big technological changes, especially in Colorado, like with our heat pump push in the state. A lot of customers don't really know about quite yet. I think it'd be kind of cool. Hey, if you don't want to buy right now, here's the podcast. We talk about all the stuff in your home. Just more content that gets out there to your customers. The more you talk to them, the better off things are going to be,
So I have several. I mean, this is a fun conversation. This is exactly the kind of conversation I like having because they're fun. Like they're fun conversations. Okay. So the first thing I think as I think about this, or as I thought about it, or I talked to the guys like Rich or Isaac or John Wilson, who've really kind of like whatever. Basically, I think you have to start thinking about, and this, I'm going to be a little bit simplistic here, but you have to say, look, we're a marketing and sales company in the plumbing and HVAC space. That's how they all think about it.
Hey, John, hold on one second. I got that technician. Sorry.
Yep. No, this is
real life
pod.
For all you people that want to be SBA
Yeah, exactly.
people.
All you searchers. All you searchers.
That's great.
Okay, he's good.
Cool.
Should be good. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll see.
He should be good is the important
should
question.
Should be good. Yeah.
So,
okay, we might have one more here. But yeah, you were mentioning John Wilson and them.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is what those guys do differently is they say, look, I'm in the marketing and sales business, and I happen to do that via plumbers and HVAC techs. Like, that's how important it is to get, like, it can't be a side thought. It can't be,
Yeah, like you inside my head, you're preaching to the choir here, man.
Yeah.
So It's a big kick. I think it happens around the $5 million per year revenue mark, which is right where we are, right? So I'm convinced every guy that gets into a business like this is we are really good operators, right? Like I've got 8 years in corporate America, managing $50 million operations. I was in the Army before that. Like I know how to run organizations, right? What I don't know is marketing. And it becomes readily apparent right around this $5 million mark. And what I'm really starting to think about is like we focus so much. I can sit here and tell you my average ticket for every one of my technicians. I can tell you who's got the most callbacks, who can braze a line set the best, who can do this. But like I have no idea where that last call came from.
And so I think
I'm convinced you have to manage like the call volume because like
you are
so
correct.
Often the CSR is, oh, she's the nice girl from down the street. She can answer the phone for you, right? Man,
and making the phone ring. And so what I would
making
say,
it ring too.
Before even, it's kind of like, hi, my name's John and I'm an alcoholic. Before you can even solve it, you have to say, hi, my name's JD and I need to put major calories into marketing. Like, if you don't start with that though, you're like, I don't know, I just like do rent. You're like,
you
okay.
throw money at it, man.
You throw money away and you hire an agent and then you're like, oh, the channel just stopped working, but I just hired a new truck that I got to get busy and now I'm going to lose my mind. Like, so what I would say is the first thing for anybody at this stage that I've seen the difference on the guys who break out is they're like, all right, I'm basically our head of marketing now. I need to go to work.
That's where I'm at right now.
That's like the first thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, I think you need to pick. The mistake that I've seen is trying to do too many things at once. There are a lot of best practices out there. Even Rich or Isaac, I'm sure would get on the phone with you in like 2 seconds. If you want to meet him, let me know. Like I can get you on a text thread with him, right? But like, and just say, hey, what's your biggest?
Yes, put me on a text thread with Rich and Isaac for sure.
Yeah. But like Rich, I know for example, like loves talking about this. Like you know, he's like me, right? He loves talking about this kind of stuff. And if you just said, hey, I need to upgrade my marketing to the next level. I know it's different market by market, but is there one channel that you think I should really like, because Rich does radio, he does local events, he does PPC, he does Facebook. Which of these do you think I should start with? But the first thing I would say is pick one and get good at it. So don't do like podcast, PPC, Facebook, TikTok, direct mail. Just like, I'm just going to get good at local Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see if I like it. That's the mistake that I see people do is that it's okay to launch a couple experiments, but JD only has so many calories and I would not spread them thin.
I couldn't agree more. I was listening to a podcast this weekend. Who's the acquisitions.com guy? Alex.
Hormozy.
Last name starts with an A. Yeah.
Hormozy.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of gets a bad rap, I feel like. I don't know if it's justified or not, but
it's complicated. But he's brilliant.
I don't know much about him.
He's brilliant. Yeah. He's brilliant and he's flawed like so many of us. That's what I would say.
But he had a great point. Pick one thing and get great at it. Yeah. I've decided to pick two, but because
so you've immediately ignored
the way I am. Yes. Well, no, like we've been doing direct mail for several years now. That's worked out pretty well. We do need to get into pay-per-click has to work for me. That's just all there is to it. Like I've done so much of just writing it off. Oh, pay-per-click doesn't work. Dude, it works for somebody, you know, and it might as well be me.
PPC works.
So PPC works. I will say Colorado, we seem to have a cost per click that's about twice the national average in this space. I don't know why, because I mean, people want to say it's a crowded marketplace. It's no more crowded than Chicago is for Isaac, right? Like it's no more crowded than anywhere else. So I don't know why we wouldn't work here, but
yeah. I mean, there's a couple different things. You know, when I looked at when we bought our home improvement company, one of the things during diligence that I did was I looked at PPC cost for the high intent keywords because I used that as a proxy for how sophisticated the market was. Because I was like, oh, these are great keywords and nobody's bidding on them. Okay. Whereas if you look at, you know, sell my car in Chicago, it's going to be a $40 click. Whereas sell my car and you look at the volumes and stuff like that. The thing with PPC is it just gets expensive. That's the deal with PPC.
But if you're priced right, it works, right? And it's got to be priced into the market, in my opinion. Like it has to be. There's no way. Like, so I look around and see like what some like the really big guys are charging for whatever it is they do, and they're clearly charging a number to support a pay-per-click budget. I think if you if you use pay-per-click as like the very bottom of the funnel, it's the absolute last lever that you pull to put work on the board. I think it's a pretty good way to go. But yeah, I mean, like direct mail, all this stuff. We did a brief foray into like radio. I almost immediately killed it. It wasn't what I thought it was. But yeah, so I decided to take Alex's like his advice and ignore it.
I will but you already know direct mail, so you're not learning a set.
I would say we've got a pretty good direct mail campaign. Yeah.
So the other thing I'd say to you is when you're thinking about that, surprisingly, global talent is actually a huge advantage on two different fronts. Number one, if you have a more efficient cost structure for your payroll, it lets you pay more to acquire a customer and still be profitable.
It does.
Right. And so you can use the man who can pay more to acquire a customer wins.
Yes.
And so you're like, oh, these guys have to jack up their prices and they can bid up to 35 cents. I don't have to raise or $35. I don't have to raise my prices and I can do $40 because I don't have $500,000 of overhead for every $1 million in booked tech time, right? So you actually can use some of the cost advantages of a global back office and plow it into paying your techs more or paying more to acquire a customer,
which both Isaac and Rich are doing this, quite frankly, right?
Correct.
I think like Rich has almost his entire office is offshore.
Second member, baby. He was one of our first 5 members.
Was he really?
but it's a good example though of where you can use. It's not just like, oh, I pay some people from Brazil less money. It's like, no, how do I use that to attack the next part of my business that needs attacking? And that could be paying your techs more so you can steal techs from your competitors. Your starting rate is more, and you're like, how the hell is he doing this? It's like, well, because I'm not paying my CSR $70,000 a year. Yeah. I pay my techs over market, but I pay my CSRs compared to local Colorado under market, and I use that to get more techs from my competitors because they'd rather work with me because I pay 20% more. Or my PPC budget is way bigger because I'm saving it over here, right? And you're redeploying it into your constraint. So as you're thinking about like organizational design, but the second thing I was going to say, by the way, is we hire absolutely killer PPC managers globally. We're very good in the marketing stack.
Yeah. I'm very excited to start hiring some marketing people from you guys as well. Like that's actually, we have a requisition in right now for a marketing coordinator, and I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah.
You just betrayed your background because you said requisition. I know everything about your background. Hey, I just put it on the pick list. The requisition, like you just that's like what you call a clue. No, that's exciting. The content thing I think is local business content's interesting. Do you know Jameson? He lives right near me, so we hang out all the time. The West Coast Deck guy on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Jameson.
Yeah, I do know him. Yeah, I follow him on Twitter. Yeah.
Super interesting story. Super cool dude. Family man. Just so nice. One of my buddies. He does local content really well. What I would say is it's a skill, right? You can't just like post on Instagram once and be like, get your.
And I am not convinced I've got it.
Jameson's got it. He's got the sunglasses.
He does.
He's got the big
cool,
hair.
Man. Yeah.
He's cool.
Yeah,
he's
cool
doing
guy.
Walkthroughs. So what I'd say is if it works, like most things, it works if you're good and it doesn't work if you're not good. So podcasts in particular, I would say, are not good for top of funnel. They are very good for mid funnel.
I believe that. Somebody's already seen you. They want to learn more. Yeah.
They got you in their ear when they're in the gym and they're learning about, but it's the discoverability and kind of like algorithmic reach of podcasts is no good. But Facebook ads are great for that, or organic content based on the platform is good for that. And then when they're in their consideration phase for a $15,000 stinking HVAC upgrade, and you're in their ear saying everything you need to know about your new whatever, that will really help with mid-funnel conversion. But this podcast is basically for mid-funnel. It is not for top of funnel. If you haven't heard of me,
I believe that.
I don't know. It's mostly for people who are like, oh, I followed you on Twitter. You make fun of Huber. You make me laugh. And then they listen. And then they're like, oh, okay, there's actually some value here. That's usually, Twitter is my top of funnel, right? That's usually how they come in the ecosystem. So you're thinking of focusing on EBITDA. What levers are you thinking of pulling on that? Is it mostly growth? Is it mostly pricing? What levers do you think are going to get you there?
No, I feel like we're priced right where I want to be. We might have a 5 to 10% we can look at right there. I think I don't know that the word is efficiency, but I'm going to use the word efficiency, right? So it's not getting the job done faster. It's running at a maximum capacity, right? So it's having an HVAC install every single day or two, right? It's making sure that your sales reps are fully at capacity. It's making sure that all your technicians are being fully utilized. There's really no fat in those things that you talked about that were like the greatest gross margin per hour assets you've got,
Yep.
right? Maximizing those and then trying to grow. I've done growth for growth's sake. It's very expensive and it's
Correct.
not necessarily the right thing to do,
Correct.
right?
A lot of
you've
vanity.
got to be, like you've got to be focused on growing profitably, right? And so it is maximizing your assets. Not only is it technician assets, it's your marketing spend being maximally utilized. It's your overhead salaries being maximally utilized. It's your insurance being maximally
it's your
utilized.
Payment terms.
All that stuff, maximal utilization, because we are kind of in that sweet spot, right? To get to that $1.5 million number. And if you are maximally utilized in this sweet spot, you get to that $1.5 million number a lot faster.
I love that. That's super, super interesting. I'll tell you one thing. I've written about it before. Most people don't like it, but the people who like it love it. That's a great driver of that Rich did it. And I did it in my old company. Have you ever heard of par pricing?
No, what's par pricing?
So Rich called me a couple years ago and was like, hey man, my close rates on some of these jobs aren't as good as they should be, right? I'm not closing enough business. And it's just because in his assessment, there's a couple different things, but my reps didn't have enough flexibility to make a deal. And he's just like, do you have any ideas? And I was like, yeah, dude, I know the best one. It's from solar. And it's called par pricing. And I've written about this, which is you go to your sales reps and you say, okay, here's the deal. The par price of this unit, and you pick a product and you say, let's say it's I don't know, what's a product you sell that's $500? Like
a product we sell for $500?
Yeah, roughly.
Shower cartridge, right?
Shower cartridge. Okay.
A shower, like the whole service ticket and everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
A shower cartridge. Now your cost on that, your hard cost on that is, let's say it's $250. Let's say that's what it is, right? And you would never under any circumstances sell it for less than $350. So what you do is you go to your sales reps and you say, okay, here's the deal. If you sell this, the par price for this part is $350. If you sell it for $350, I pay you a 10% commission. For every dollar that you sell it for above that, I pay a 50% commission. And what happens is that your techs now are growing your gross margin because they are not authorized to sell below what that floor is, but now they can do things like, okay, and you can really incentivize them to run every appointment hard, because if they're able to get an extra $500 above par price, they get and so now they're out there growing your gross margin, which is Rich did it. He loved it. And now his closes went up, because if the guy's real price sensitive, they'd rather get the price down and close the deal. But if the person's not price sensitive and you show up at a $10 million house and the guy's like, I just don't want to deal anything, they'll go capture that gross margin for you. They'll go out and get it because they're chasing their own incentive, which is, I want 50 cents of every marginal dollar. So
that's an interesting angle, because so right now we have a discounting scheme where it's designed to fill the board, right? So it always keeps the gross margin pretty consistent, but it lets the service man, hey, if I get it for more, I get a little bit more money. If I get it for less, well, I still got a job on the board, right? My closing rate looks good and everything else. But the idea, that's the shift in thinking you've got to have to really ratchet these businesses up. Because at the end of the day, the businesses that win are the most profitable ones, right?
Correct.
If you're the most profitable, you're able to take the most money, put it back into marketing, you're able to kind of rinse and repeat, right?
Yep.
It's the guys that, I've lived life at 40% gross margin, and it's a miserable existence, because you're barely covering anything, right?
And somebody sends you business.
Money.
Somebody sends you business and you can give them a $15 Starbucks card. And you're like, I wish I had a better referral program. I don't have the margins though. Right? Thank you for sending me business. I could buy you a hamburger, right? Whereas when you have better margins,
and that whole gross margin indicator, it is an indicator for the quality of your service, is what it really comes down to, right? Mm-hmm. If your gross margin's high, it means you're doing a good job, right? Yeah. People aren't customers are the best deciders of value out there that I've ever met in my life, and they don't know it, right? but like they don't quite realize it. Like they know value when they see it, and they'll never be able to explain it to you. Most of them, right?
Yep.
It's it's this huge indicator for the value of the services that you're offering, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you know what's his name? He runs Monkey Wrench. Yossi Wachtel. I did a podcast with him.
I do not know him. No.
Also, plumbing started on the tools, and now I think has like 100 people. Like he's awesome. I did a podcast with him a couple months ago. What he calls when you talk about quality of service, his big thing is he calls it reverse hospitality, which is we're welcomed into their home, and I need to be obsessed with the hospitality experience of when I'm in their home. And he's like, his training's about that, and his culture's all about this idea of reverse hospitality. And he's like, it really helps. It helps us charge more. It helps us have less complaints. And it's like, it's so cool to hear a guy who runs a plumbing. I think he's plumbing, HVAC, and electrical.
Okay.
Talk about like how he thinks about it versus, our dad's plumbers were like, I just changed the pipes and these guys are like, they think about it like a restaurant experience. It's cool.
I've had those other plumbers in, and trust me, man, you would much rather work with these guys.
Correct. And you pay 20% more, but they put the little booties on and they don't double park and piss off your neighbor. And it's just like,
he can pass a background check. He's going to show up sober.
Correct. Exactly. So it was cool. It was really cool to learn about what that next level guy, what he talks like and what he, you think, if you get together with a bunch of $1 million a year plumbers, they're going to talk about one thing. And then when you talk to the guys who at the next level, they're going to talk about something else. And then when you talk at the next level,
it's a different business. Yeah.
And you're like, are we talking about the same, you guys? And they're like, yeah, but, and it's, I learn a lot hearing guys at different levels about like what's on their mind and stuff, JD, have you played around at all with AI?
Yeah, actually I have like this OpenClaw thing in my OpenClaw thing. So I'm a bit of a nerd. Like, I've got a degree in electrical engineering. I used to program computers. Sometimes I dabble in it sometimes still.
Cool.
And I've got like an OpenClaw instance running on a remote virtual server, and it's tied into our Slack. I've been kind of like goofing around with it, right? So it's got read-only access to my Service Titan. And I'm kind of poking around to see what it can do, right?
Yep.
Like very slowly, because one OpenClaw can be a bit risky sometimes. If you give it too much write access, suddenly it deletes everything, But I've been kind of interested in it. Like, I think there's a real art to how you write prompts. It's like right now, where I'm finding the most benefit in it is where it can make my employees more intelligent. So where it can bring information to them faster. Not so much like there's other guys that are letting AI answer their phones and do text messages and do outbound. I've dabbled with that. I don't like it. Not saying it won't be there in the near future, but I don't think it's there quite yet. Where I think it really excels is where it makes your employees more intelligent. So like right now I've got it building my outbounding list, right? Or building lists for my marketing campaigns and that sort of thing.
I think that's a very smart way to think about it. I think you're also very smart to not be putting OpenClaw into production. It is a fickle and fragile beast.
Yeah.
There are definitely ways to do it, but you got to do it like what I tell people is experimentation's fine. Experiment away. That's your job as a business owner, to try stuff. But I would not be like taking something you vibe coded that has read write to your QuickBooks Online and set it loop. Like this is not going to end well for you or for your customers. So yeah, it's what I would say, JD, kind of bringing it full circle before we kind of end the pod is when you talked about a remote workforce making you a better manager, what we talk about a lot is everything you need to do to become a better manager to manage a remote workforce is the exact same stuff you need to do AI enablement. It's the same thing because you can't build an agent that qualifies leads if you don't have a list of zip codes you cover. And you wrote that list of zip codes because your CSR is not in your office and can't ask you, yo, JD, do we cover the zip code? You had to build a database that your remote CSRs look at, but that's the exact same database that you can feed an agent that Sagan builds for you that says, hey, it's out of our coverage, auto respond, it's in our coverage, send to a human. And so it's cool that you're going on that journey with a remote workforce because as you continue to try and experiment and whatever, even something like using Service Titan, even something as simple as Service Titan, you now have a system of record that can be accessed and you can get context on Did they get their install yet? Should I send the invoice? Even just that, if you look at the way businesses were run 10 years ago, blue copy, pink copy, yellow copy, you're already halfway to enablement of AI if you're continuing to do what I think you're doing, which is getting better at blending kind of local and global. So you're actually, if you don't feel like you're far along, you're actually pretty far along based on even just that, you know?
Yeah, we try to be. Like, I think there's a world where these AI agents, like, can make your employees just hyper intelligent, right?
Yeah.
Like, absolutely top tier CSRs. You know,
Yep.
I think that like customers are going to want to talk to humans for a long time.
Agree.
And so I'm very hesitant to hand over the phones to an AI. We tried it a couple times, and
No, I wouldn't do that. No way.
Mixed results.
No
Yeah,
way.
mixed results. But I would rather hire a nearshore, offshore employee with great English, teach them that, hey, you know, you can ask, we'll probably come up with some great name like Sarah Connor for our agent, right?
Love that. Mine's
yeah,
Hal.
right? And
Mine's
then,
Hal. I call
there
my
you
agent's Hal.
go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, John, I can't do that.
Exactly. Yeah, glad you
And
got the
then,
reference.
and then like, yeah, right. And then I think that, you know, Kevin from Nicaragua has got a much better idea of if we service this or we can do this service or where this customer should fit on the board, right? And I think that's the way this goes. And I think it gets to technicians pretty quick. Like, I've actually like really considered some kind of like AR thing for our technicians where they could wear like some meta glasses or something.
I did a whole podcast about that. I did a whole podcast about that.
I'm gonna have to
just
find
got
it
published. I talked about you can have your techs send images from the Meta Ray Bans. You can send it to an agent, which you upload like all your install water heater guides to it. You have a master plumber. Like, you can definitely.
Then your smart guys in the office, the smart guys in the office with the Oculus, and you can see everything that you're looking at. Oh yeah, put your probe there.
He's got a live
make sure
feed.
you put that screw in.
He's got a live feed.
Live
He's going,
feed.
hey man, hey man, that's counterclockwise. Stop trying to pull it out.
People are such AI doomers, and I think it's a real mistake, right? Because when you get that world, right, where like the smart guy's in the back with the Oculus and he's got like the live feed, it's so much easier to take a young person who has limited experience and somebody's looking over their shoulder, man.
100%.
Like, they're not going to get hurt. They're going to be able to do so much more. They bring a lot more value to the customer and to the company. And it's easier to get a real job, right?
And you can do, and it's an elevation criteria where it's like, okay, I called out, it's a basic repair. I don't have to send a 25-year guy on everything. Oh, it's basic. There's an SOP. It's on your phone or your tablet. Oh, it's level 2. Send pictures and just have your plan approved. Oh, it's a level 3. You just need to say, hey, we need to deploy our master plumber because this is level. And now what have you done? You've gotten more contribution margin out of your constrained resource, right?
Exactly.
What you've done is you don't have to send a master plumber on every call now.
Yes.
Right?
No, this AI thing is going to be really, really good for I'm sure there's a lawyer out there that's going to lose some business. That sucks for the lawyer, you know, but
dude,
fine.
We're a million HVAC techs short. And if I can take a screenshot and send it to my agent, which has the manual of that exact unit, and it's like, oh, you just blew a fuse. You need to replace a fuse, and here's the part. Would you like me to order it for you so it's on your truck tomorrow? That's like not that far away.
No, it's not. I mean, this is like, you know, I think we've been digging around with spoons, and this is going to be a backhoe. This is going to be like such a combat multiplier, I guess, to, you know, reveal further more about my history here. Like, this is going to be such an enabler for people. It's going to make all of us fabulously wealthy and create a world of like extreme abundance for everybody. I really think so.
You strike me, to bring it home, you don't strike me as a Marine. You strike me as like a 10th Mountain guy.
I was an Army officer. Yeah.
Hey, okay.
So I was an engineer officer. Yeah.
Okay.
I was so I was in this weird engineer battalion that was attached to the 4th ID out of Fort Carson.
Okay. Cool. I was like, you don't give me Marine vibes. You're too laid back.
And I was definitely not like the light fighter. I liked to be in my vehicles and run my convoys and have lots of machinery. That was my move.
Cool. West Pointer or OCS or whatever the Army calls it?
No, I went to Alabama. I did ROTC through Alabama. And then, I just did my 4 years and got out.
Love it. It's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Citizen soldier.
Yeah.
Citizen soldier, man.
Dude.
That's what it should be.
It's such a great man maker too, man. Like if I had like stayed in Alabama, I'd be some nerd working in Huntsville, you know, doing my electrical engineering thing. And this got me out. I got all this management experience. I got to do some cool stuff. I went to airborne school, air assault.
So cool.
I blew things up, man. It was awesome, dude.
So
it was perfect for me.
I encourage people all the time. You know, I did like 6-7 years in the government. And I'm like, guys, citizen soldier, you don't have to do
It's cool.
25. Just go in, just do 4 or 5 years, and then you can go make your millions online. You have just go do some cool stuff. Don't be 23 and go like start drop shipping. Like nobody cares.
Oh, dude, I couldn't agree more, man. Like there was a guy I used to work with. He was in his mid-20s, and I'm like, man, you need to go do something difficult in your life. Like go join the army, go do this, that, the other thing. And then he went and worked for an elevator consultant. I was like, don't do this, man.
And it could, by the way, it doesn't just have to be the military. It could be Teach for America. It could be Peace Corps.
All kinds of stuff.
It could be go be I love what the Mormons do, right? Go be a missionary for a couple years in Chile. That's all wonderful, but don't just graduate and be like, you know what I want to do is FBA on Amazon. You're like, bro, come on, man.
No.
Go
and
mix
then,
it up
with
a
the
bit.
military too. Like there's a real point of diminishing returns right at like 4 or 5 years, right? Because like you do your first couple of years, whether you're enlisted or you go the officer route or whatever you do, right? And then they want you to like go to school some more, go be a company, and it's like 4 more years, right? Now get out at 4 or make it 20. Like the guys that got out at 8, I always thought,
no.
At least for the Army, you know.
I left. It's the same thing in my old organization around 5, 6. I left when I didn't want my boss's job. That was my rule.
Yeah.
I had the coolest job in the
world. I
felt
too.
And then I looked at my boss and I was like, nope. So I got out.
That's exactly what happened to me too. Like, I got a little taste to being a company commander and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this.
I'm going to go. I'll just go. Yeah. So awesome. Well, JD, if people are looking for you, where can they find you if they want to learn more about you or follow along?
Best place is on X, formerly Twitter, my handle. I thought it was cool at the time. Now I question it, but it is at Dirty Hands Ops.
Okay. Awesome. Well, JD, thank you for coming aboard and telling a little bit about what you guys are up to. It's awesome. We love supporting you. Thanks for being a customer.
Yeah, man. Happy to help.
Thanks.